I've noticed we're losing subscribers. Not the YouTube kind, but the kind that swore they'd be in my life forever. Funny how that works. One day you're surrounded by people who claim to love you, and the next, you're watching them walk away like you were just another phase in their lives. By the way, if you're here, do me a favor, subscribe. It's free, and unlike some people in my life, you won't regret sticking around. Have you ever felt like your own family was actively working against you? Like the people who were supposed to lift you up were, instead, the ones pulling you down? That's exactly what I, Rebecca, 22, am grappling with right now. My mother, Linda, 45, and my younger sister, Jorge, 19, recently convinced me to turn down a life-changing job opportunity, a position at a top-tier tech company in San Jose. But as I try to process the betrayal, I've discovered something far worse. The college fund my dad left behind for me? The one that was supposed to ensure my future? It's gone. Illegally drained by the very person who was meant to protect me. To understand how I got here, let me take you back. 2 years ago, my father, Michael, died in a car accident on his way home from work. He wasn't just a good dad, he was my rock. The kind of father who never missed a single one of my coding competitions or academic events, no matter how exhausted he was. Every Sunday morning we had a ritual. He'd make his famous pancakes, regular pancakes with chocolate chips, but he was so proud of them. While flipping them, he'd tell us stories from his college days, sneaking in terrible dad jokes that always made us groan and laugh at the same time. Before the accident, our family wasn't perfect, but it was stable. My parents had their struggles like any couple, but they balanced each other out. Dad was the calm, logical problem solver, the voice of reason. Mom was more emotional and impulsive. They made it work, and our home felt safe, predictable. Then Dad was gone and everything fell apart. Not just because of the grief, but because it was like the foundation of our family crumbled overnight. My mother became emotionally entangled with my sister, Jorge, in a way that felt suffocating. It was as if they'd formed this impenetrable bond, leaving me on the outside looking in. While Jorge became the sun around which Mom's world revolved, I was reduced to the responsible one, expected to sacrifice everything for the sake of the family. To be fair, Jorge had always been the dramatic one. Even before Dad died, she was the kind of person who needed constant attention, the social butterfly to my quiet, tech-obsessed self. Dad used to be the counterbalance to Mom's tendency to spoil her. But with him gone, there was no one left to keep things in check. Their relationship escalated into something unrecognizable. Every minor setback in Jorge's life became a full-scale crisis. When she didn't make the cheerleading squad in high school, Mom let her skip school for a week and maxed out her credit card on comfort items. When she wasn't accepted into her dream college, Mom spent 2 weeks calling administrators and even applied for a loan just to make a donation in a desperate attempt to get her in. Meanwhile, I was trying to keep everything afloat. I maintained a 4.0 GPA in computer science, worked part-time at the university's IT department to help cover household expenses, and most importantly, I looked after my younger brother, Tommy. Tommy is 10, the sweetest kid you'll ever meet, and the only person in my family who still treats me like a person instead of a utility. Against all odds, I graduated with my computer science degree this year. And against even greater odds, I landed an incredible job offer from one of San Jose's most prestigious tech companies. The hiring process was brutal, 6 grueling rounds of interviews, technical assessments, and behavioral tests. But I did it. I won. And for the first time since Dad's death, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. I thought Mom and Jorge would be proud of me. I thought they'd celebrate with me. But instead they acted strange. Distant. And then the sabotage began. First, it was the guilt trips. Mom told me it was selfish to move so far away when the family needed me here. Jorge cried about how hard it would be without me around, how she'd fall apart. Then came the manipulation. Mom started feeding me horror stories about how San Jose was too expensive, how I'd never survive on my own, how tech companies only cared about profit and would burn me out in a year. They wore me down inch by inch until I started doubting myself. Then the final blow. I overheard a conversation I wasn't meant to hear. Jorge was upset, sobbing really, because she'd run out of money. And Mom, in a hushed voice, told her not to worry. We'll figure it out. I already used Rebecca's college fund for the family. We always take care of each other. My college fund. The money Dad had worked so hard to set aside for my future. Gone. I felt the air leave my lungs. I wanted to believe I had misheard. But when I checked the account, the truth hit me like a freight train. A zero balance. No record of where it had gone. Just gone. My own mother had stolen my future. And now she was trying to keep me trapped. The technical interviews were brutal, coding challenges, behavioral assessments, and endless late-night study sessions spent mastering algorithms and data structures. I prepared relentlessly, balancing my family responsibilities with my dreams. And when the offer letter arrived, I could hardly believe it. A base salary of $125,000, plus a signing bonus and stock options that made my head spin. This wasn't just a job. It was my ticket to a real career, to financial stability, not just for me but for my family once I got established. I could finally pay off my student loans, the ones Mom couldn't co-sign for because she was too busy paying off Jorge's endless shopping sprees. But last week, Mom walked into my room with that expression, the one that told me she was about to drop a bomb that would change everything. She sat on my bed, clutching the plush penguin Dad had bought me for my 16th birthday, one of the last pieces of him I still had, and said, "Rebecca, we need to talk about your job offer." My stomach immediately dropped. She told me Jorge was struggling with her first year of college and needed a vacation to deal with her anxiety. She claimed Jorge needed to come home, and that meant extra expenses she couldn't handle alone. She wanted me to turn down the San Jose offer and get a local job so I could help with finances and take care of Tommy. Jorge's anxiety seemed suspiciously selective. She had no problem performing in a 3-hour dance showcase last month, but suddenly attending morning classes was too much for her. She spent hours at parties, documenting every second on Instagram, but miraculously suffered crippling social anxiety when it was time to study for exams. I tried reasoning with Mom. I laid out a financial plan showing how I could support the family once I got settled. I promised to help Jorge find resources for her supposed mental health struggles. I even volunteered to schedule regular video calls with Tommy so I could stay involved in his life. But Mom wouldn't hear it. "Family comes first," she kept repeating, as if my own dreams and ambitions weren't part of that equation. The worst part? While I was desperately trying to reason with Mom, Jorge was in her room posting pictures of her latest shopping spree on Instagram. The same Jorge who claimed she was too anxious to continue college had just spent hundreds of dollars on clothes and makeup. I saw the receipts in her email. "These things help me feel better," she told me. "You've always been the strong one, Rebecca. You can handle disappointment better." That's when it hit me. I was the strong one, which meant my feelings, my dreams, my sacrifices didn't matter. The next few days were a blur of anxiety and desperate planning. I reached out to my college advisor who was outraged but couldn't do much. I called the company's HR department to explain my situation and request extra time. They extended my deadline by a few days but not much more. Without family support or a co-signer for an apartment in San Jose, my options were slipping through my fingers. I even tried appealing to Mom's practical side. I created a detailed spreadsheet proving that my salary in San Jose would do more for the family than any local job. I found local therapists who could help Jorge manage her anxiety while continuing school. I offered every possible compromise. Mom's response? "Your father would be so disappointed in you for being so selfish." That hurt more than anything. Dad had been the one who bought me my first computer, who stayed up late helping me debug my first programs, who encouraged me to dream big. Using his memory to manipulate me was a new low. Then, something unexpected happened. My Uncle James, 42, Dad's younger brother, showed up at our doorstep. He'd been trying to reach Mom for weeks, but she had ignored him. The moment he saw my face, he knew something was wrong. While Mom fussed over Jorge, who was crying because someone had unfollowed her on Instagram, Uncle James and I sat on the back porch. The same porch where Dad used to teach me about constellations on clear nights. I told him everything. About the job. The manipulation. Jorge's spending. How I felt like my future was slipping away. Tommy, ever perceptive, curled up beside me as I spoke. He's just 10, but he understands more than anyone gives him credit for. He's the only person in this house who still treats me like I matter. Uncle James listened carefully, his face set in a determined expression, the same look Dad used to get when he was solving a problem. "Your dad would never have wanted this for you," he said firmly. Then he made me an offer that changed everything. He had a guest house near his business, just an hour from San Jose. He offered to let me stay there rent-free until I got on my feet. And he was willing to co-sign any loans I needed. As we sat there, my phone buzzed. It was a text from the hiring manager at the tech company. She told me she was excited to have me join the team and mentioned they were working on cutting-edge AI projects. Exactly what I wanted. Reading that message, sitting next to the only adult who seemed to care about my future, I felt something I hadn't in weeks. Hope. But when we told Mom about Uncle James' offer, she exploded. It was instant and terrifying. The passive-aggressive manipulator I was used to vanished, replaced by someone I hardly recognized. She accused me of abandoning my family, called me selfish. Then she dropped a bomb I never saw coming. You're just like your father, always putting yourself first. Uncle James didn't let her get away with that. He reminded her of the truth, how Dad had worked the late shift, the same one he was driving home from when he died, just to pay for Jorge's dance lessons. The fight that followed was vicious. Jorge jumped in, calling me selfish. Tommy cried in the corner. And in the middle of it all, Mom finally said what she really thought about me. Apparently, I was difficult from the start. Too focused on academics instead of socializing. My decision to study computer science rather than something more appropriate for a girl was a sign of my defiance. Years of resentment came spilling out. Now I'm sitting in my room surrounded by half-packed boxes. Uncle James insisted I start packing just in case. On one side of my laptop screen is my job offer. On the other, San Jose apartment listings. My deadline is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Mom has threatened to cut me off completely if I leave. A few minutes ago, Tommy slipped a note under my door. In his shaky handwriting he wrote, "I love you, Rebecca. Dad would want you to be happy." I'm trying not to cry as I type this. Update 2. It has been 3 weeks since my last update. I apologize for the delay, but what I uncovered required thorough investigation and legal consultation. The more I dug into the missing college fund, the worse things got. Uncle James and I sat down with a lawyer, and what we found made my stomach churn. The account my father had set up for my education hadn't just been drained, it had been systematically emptied over the last 2 years. Large withdrawals, expensive purchases, and even direct transfers to credit cards under my mother's name. My father had planned for my future, and my mother had stolen it out from under me. When I confronted her over the phone, she played dumb at first. Then, when I told her I had legal documentation proving what she had done, her tone changed. She started yelling, saying that family money belongs to the family, and that I was too young to understand what it means to make sacrifices. But I knew better. This wasn't about sacrifices. It was about enabling Ashley's reckless spending and ensuring that my mother could keep up appearances. With the lawyer's help, I filed a formal complaint. The bank is investigating and legal action is on the table. I never imagined I'd have to take my own mother to court, but here we are. Meanwhile, things at work have been incredible. My boss has already assigned me to a major AI project, and I'm thriving in an environment where my skills are valued. For the first time in years, I feel like I belong somewhere. I'm even starting to form friendships with my coworkers, something I never really had time for before. As for Tommy, he's my biggest reason to keep pushing forward. We video chat every night, and I send him little coding exercises to keep his mind engaged. He's a natural just like Dad. It hurts not being there with him, but I know that by building my own life, I'm setting an example, one that I hope will help him make strong choices when he's older. Last week, he whispered something to me before hanging up. "I know you didn't leave me. I know you still love me." I cried myself to sleep that night. Mom and Ashley have continued their campaign of guilt and manipulation, though now that they know I'm fighting back legally, their approach has changed. Mom has gone silent, while Ashley has taken to posting vague, self-pitying rants on social media about how some people betray their own blood for money. It's laughable, really. The irony is lost on her. Uncle James has been my rock through all of this. He told me something that stuck with me. Your father didn't work himself to the bone just so you could be shackled to people who don't respect you. And he's right. I don't know how the legal battle will play out, but I do know one thing, I am never going back. I have fought too hard to break free, and I refuse to let them drag me down again. This is my life, and I'm finally living it. Final update, the truth, the fallout, and a new beginning. Before I felt safe sharing this, I needed to ensure everything was in place. Do you remember the college fund I found in Dad's papers? Uncle James and I spent the past few weeks unraveling the mystery of what happened to that money. What we discovered was far worse than either of us had feared. With the help of one of Dad's old banking colleagues, we learned that Mom hadn't just accessed one account, she had systematically drained multiple ones. There was a college fund for me, another for Tommy's future education, and a general emergency fund. Within months of Dad's death, they were all emptied. Last week, Mom sent me an email. A long one. At first, it was a weak attempt at an apology. I may have been too harsh, but soon her tone shifted. She was trying to get ahead of the truth, to rewrite history before we uncovered it ourselves. Then she dropped something that was clearly meant to shatter me. There's something you need to know about your father. She claimed that when she was pregnant with me, Dad had an affair. That she had forgiven him but never forgotten, and that's why she had always been distant. She wrote that she could find it in her heart to forgive me too, if I agreed to drop my investigation into the missing money. But her story didn't add up. Uncle James and I dug through Dad's old records, and the truth hit us like a sledgehammer. During the time Mom claimed Dad was cheating, he had actually been working double shifts, trying to pay off her credit card debt. We found old statements filled with massive charges, all in her name. And then we made an even bigger discovery. Dad's old email account was still active. Buried within it were years of correspondence with his lawyer. He had documented everything: Mom's reckless spending, her financial manipulation, and even his attempts to safeguard money for our futures. Dad wasn't cheating. He was trying to protect us. The emails revealed something even more heartbreaking. Dad had been planning to leave Mom. Not for another woman, but because he was afraid of the damage she was doing to us. His accident happened just 2 weeks before he was supposed to file for divorce. I took all of this to the lawyer Uncle James recommended. She was stunned. What Mom did wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. She had forged documents to gain access to Dad's accounts, misused life insurance payouts, and systematically covered her tracks. Then came the bombshell about Ashley. Mom had always said she needed my help because she was paying for Ashley's college, but that was a lie. We uncovered luxury shopping sprees, high-end spa treatments, and even a secret spring break trip to Cancun. The money meant for our futures had been funding Ashley's designer wardrobe and influencer lifestyle. Scrolling through Ashley's social media, I saw it all. Every extravagant purchase, every vacation, every overpriced handbag. The timestamps aligned perfectly with the depletion of Dad's accounts. Mom wasn't just enabling Ashley, she was financing her. The lawyer confirmed it. We had a case for financial fraud. But my biggest concern wasn't the money, it was Tommy. He was still trapped in that house, watching Mom and Ashley spend what should have been his future. Uncle James and I began exploring custody options, and our lawyer believed we had a strong case. I never responded to Mom's email. The lawyer advised against it. But she and Ashley must have sensed what was coming because they launched a smear campaign against me online. According to them, I was an ungrateful daughter who had abandoned her family for a selfish tech career. The truth? Learning about Dad's plans to leave validated everything. He knew what was happening. He saw what Mom was doing. He was trying to save us, but he never got the chance. Now I was going to finish what he started. 6 weeks later. The past 6 weeks have been a whirlwind of legal battles, life changes, and long overdue justice. The court case moved quickly. Mom's own meticulous record-keeping became her downfall. She had documented everything. Every forged signature, every unauthorized transfer, every lie. She never expected anyone to look. When confronted in court, the mask slipped. She admitted to it all: the fraud, the theft, the forged paperwork. She had no choice. The judge's ruling was swift: full repayment of all stolen funds plus interest. But financial restitution was the least of her problems. She's now facing criminal charges for fraud. Ashley, ever the opportunist, abandoned ship the moment things got serious. She played innocent in court, claiming she had no idea where the money for her lavish lifestyle had come from. But the judge wasn't fooled. She was ordered to return everything purchased with stolen money. Her influencer dreams collapsed overnight. But the biggest victory wasn't money. It was custody of Tommy. The judge reviewed the overwhelming evidence of Mom's financial abuse and manipulation. Her pattern of deception. The neglect. Tommy deserved better. And so, the court granted me temporary custody, with Uncle James as co-guardian. Tommy moved in last week. The difference in him is already striking. He's lighter, happier, sleeping better. He's excited about the coding projects we're working on together, already planning his next science fair entry. My career, once a point of contention, has now become a pillar of stability. My initiative at work caught the attention of upper management, and I was promoted to team lead. The judge even cited my stable job and income as a key factor in the custody ruling. Mom made one last attempt to manipulate me, offering to forgive everything if I dropped the case and gave Tommy back. Her lawyer shut her down the moment I played recordings of her threatening me over the phone. Ashley, predictably, turned to social media. Bitter posts about toxic family members and betrayal. But no one's listening. She's moved in with a friend, refusing to live with Mom now that the money's gone. Uncle James has been my rock through all of this. He helped Tommy set up his new room, enrolled him in a great school, and even opened a new college fund for him. One that Mom can't touch. We have weekly family dinners now. We talk about Dad. For the first time, his memory isn't clouded by Mom's lies. The truth is painful, but it's also healing. The guest house has become home. Tommy's room is covered in science posters, coding flowcharts, and blueprints for projects we're working on together. He just joined a robotics club, and his enthusiasm reminds me of Dad. I started therapy. I'm learning that none of this was my fault. That Dad wasn't the villain in Mom's story. He was the hero, fighting for us until the end. Now I'm just finishing what he started. Looking back at my first post, I barely recognized the person I was. I almost gave up my dreams for a family that never truly supported me. Now I have a real family, the one I chose. Mom and Ashley showed their true colors. But by losing them, we gained something far more valuable. Truth, freedom, the future. For anyone reading this, trust your instincts. Something feels wrong, it is wrong. Sometimes the family you choose is more important than the one you're born into. Thank you to everyone who gave me the courage to fight. Your support didn't just change my life. It saved it.